Hi everyone. I usually do this every December. I usually vlog my reading and my life throughout December, kind of like bookmas, kind of like vlogmas, and I think this is my 4th year doing it. It's actually the 9th of December. I'm starting a little bit later than usual. I'm just back from a vacation though. I was on holidays in America, so I thought I would just vlog my reading this month running up to Christmas. I always say this every year. I'm not sure if it'll be one big video or a couple of videos. It usually ends up just being one big video, so you're probably seeing this after Christmas, but we'll see how we go. So I just thought I would talk about all the books I'm in the middle of and my general reading plans for December. So I don't usually do this, but I'm in the middle of reading 3 books for various reasons, and I think I'd really like to finish them in December just so I'm starting on a fresh slate in January for the new year. So hopefully we'll get through these. So the first book I think I'll try to get to is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I'm on chapter 29, which is page 290, so not too much left to go. I probably will finish this soon enough actually. I started this because I was going on a weekend away to Scotland, and the book I was reading I was like nearly finished, so I was like, oh, I'll pick up something new for the plane and stuff. So I read a good chunk of it there and have been reading it like in bits and pieces since, so I would like to get this finished off. But this is the sequel to Ninth House of the Alex Stern series. The premise of this is you have this character called Alex, and she can actually see ghosts, and because of this she's hired by Yale University to basically monitor the societies in Yale University. It has this kind of dark academia setting. It has lots of thriller elements. It's really exciting. It's really well written. I really love all the characters. I really love Turner, who's the detective in this book, and he's got a bigger part in this story. But so far I've been really liking this. I actually think I like this slightly better than the first book. It's just very exciting and well paced. It might be slightly too dark for my taste. Generally really enjoying it. I think it's going to be a high 4-star, maybe even a 5 if it keeps going the way it's going, so I'm very happy with this book. So I'll definitely try to prioritize this first. I think if you watched my Vampathon vlog, you know I started The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I actually started reading this during Vampathon, but I never actually picked it back up since. These books, even though they're chunky, they read very quickly. So I think I'm 100 pages in, and I think it's about a 600-page book. So I am still confident that I'll get it done this year. We shall see though. From Blood and Ash is like a forbidden romance, romantasy book. In this world you have, depending on what order you were born in, I think it's the second child, I can't remember, they go to ascend to appease the gods, and then Poppy is the maiden, so her ascension is really important. So the royal family of this kingdom kind of keep her separated and isolated from society, and the only really people she interacts with are her guards really, and she has like one friend, and it's basically a forbidden romance with one of her guards called Hawk. The story has changed so much since then, but I can't really say anything else because it's been majorly spoilery. But I quite like the plotting of these books. Don't love the writing too much. These are like independently published, I believe, and you can kind of tell the finesse is not quite there in terms of the editing. It is quite fun. I liked the first book more than the second book. The first 100 pages of this book I actually did quite like, so I'm a little bit more optimistic about this one. The first book was a 3-star for me. The second book was a 2-star, unfortunately. But hopefully this probably gets back to the 3-star, but we'll see. And then I also, for my vacation actually to the US, I started The Poppy War. This is the book I read like on the plane journeys to and fro. I picked this up because I didn't really want to be reading this in front of my family. I didn't want to be reading a spicy romance in between sitting next to my mother and brothers. So I picked up The Poppy Wars. I think I'm 160 pages in out of like, I think it's 530 pages. And this is the start of a trilogy. I actually read Arf Kwong's Babel book, which I really liked. And this is her YA fantasy series. It's set in this like fantasy ancient China, and you have Rin, who actually qualifies to get into this military academy. She's from a very poor background. The chances of her getting in were very slim, but she's a very interesting kind of really bloodthirsty character, like very determined, very cutthroat in ways, which I quite like. I like when main characters are quite flawed and stuff like that. It reads very interestingly. It is a fantasy China. Rin and her classmates are all learning about the previous Poppy Wars, learning that they're on the brink of another war, so they're all being trained to be soldiers essentially. So the academy is interesting. She's making friends and enemies. She has one very interesting teacher. She has a crush on this older student. There is kind of a fun academic setting to it, even though it has a very, very serious tone to it. The dialogue reminds me of Mulan in like a lot of ways, because it's kind of set in an ancient or historical setting, but the dialogue feels very modern and young, which is kind of strange for me reading it. I think that's kind of putting me off a little bit, but I think it makes the tone of the book a lot lighter. I think if the dialogue was very maybe time accurate, it would be a very, very serious book. So I do think the dialogue being kind of modern and kind of funny in ways nearly comes across like a YA movie a little bit, but I'm really, really enjoying it. So there was a point here where Rin is doing her end of year exams where I just couldn't put the book down. I thought it was so good. So I am excited to keep going with this, but I do think the order will be by age. I think I will try and do it like this. So yeah, that's the goal. Try and get at least a couple of these read by the end of December anyway. I don't know by Christmas, but we'll see. Also, my audiobook that I'm listening to is Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. I am just past the halfway point and I think I have like 5 hours left. So I think I will get that done probably when I'm traveling home for Christmas. I tend to listen to books a lot when I'm traveling. Yeah, so I'm on page 170 out of 350, so not too much left to go. The plot is really amping up. So the main character, this is Violet. Again, kind of what I said, I love main characters that aren't really the hero. So you've got Violet, who's actually very morally grey, would you say? So she's a seer for this kingdom. So she was taken in by the king at a very young age. She can predict the future and stuff, but she really does the king's bidding in terms of maybe like falsifying some of her visions in order for the king to get some things done. She defied destiny when she was a child by saving the prince's life, and because they've kind of grown up together and he doesn't really like how she's been played with by the king, they're actually kind of at odds with each other, kind of like enemies, but they definitely have feelings for each other. Then the prince has a sister that she's really good friends with, so the dynamics are fun. There's like prophecies in here about the prince's fate based on who he marries. You can tell the kingdom's about to be plunged into war again. It's very political, so I am really, really liking it. I think listening to this on audiobook, I don't know if the plot is a little bit convoluted in ways. I just don't think the world building sometimes is the best, and that might be down to the writing a little bit, but I am generally very much enjoying it. I believe this was supposed to be a duology, but the author had to make it into one book. Please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not quite sure. So I don't know if she had to fit in more world building than she was planning to in one book. It still works. I'm still really liking it. It started off very, very strong and I'm enjoying the middle part now. I just love the fantasy setting. I love the magical elements. They've just had this masked ball. So yeah, really fun. Really enjoying it. A good bit to get through, but I am enjoying all of these so far, which is good. So yeah, this week I'm actually preparing to go home for Christmas. I'm going home next weekend, but I've got a few things happening here. I'm going to the Wicked movie on Wednesday. I think my friend is doing a Christmas party. We're unsure on Friday. I need to wrap my presents, stuff like that. So I've got a few Christmassy bits to do as well. But yeah, I just thought I would vlog a good bit of December. I'm going to try my hardest to maybe get this read before I go home so I don't have to take it home with me. If not, it's fine. But I'll definitely focus on this one for this week. guys, so I haven't updated this vlog in a couple of days. You can probably tell from my b-roll that it's been very busy. I've been working, I've gone to the gym a few times. I went to see the Wicked movie with some of my friends and I loved it. I'm definitely like an Ariana Grande fan now. I thought she was so funny in it. But yeah, definitely highly recommend that movie if you haven't seen it. If you like musicals, movies that don't take themselves too seriously, it's very good. I also went out for drinks last night as well, as you saw. Just nice to see friends before I head home for Christmas. So if I look a bit tired, it's because I am. Apologies, I'm filming this, the sun is setting, my lighting is about to go. I read a good bit of Hellbent throughout the week. I just started part 2, and part 2 is actually just the beginning of the last 100 pages, so I'd say the last 100 are going to be quite exciting. What I like about the structure of this book is the book starts a couple of months later from the previous book, then it goes backwards, and the whole middle of this book is bringing you back to the start of the book. I hope that makes sense. I'm really liking the storytelling that Leigh Bardugo is doing in this book. So definitely excited for the last 100 pages. I was hoping to get this done before I went home, but I'm just going to take it with me, I think. I've got 100 pages to go, so I think I will keep going. Because I'm going home tomorrow as well, I'm probably going to listen to a lot of my audiobook. I think I've got 4 hours left and I've got like a 6-hour journey. I'll probably get at least a good chunk of this listened to. I can imagine I'm not going to listen to audiobooks the whole time, but I think I'll probably get through a good chunk of this. I'm debating. I know I have my 2 other books that I need to keep going with. So The Crown of Gilded Bones and The Poppy War, as I mentioned at the start of this video. But I also think I might take The Raven King with me when I go home. There's a cafe in Galway City that I always read a Raven Cycle book in. I know it's kind of random, but I remember reading the first book in the Secret Garden Cafe in Galway, and I think I always just associate that cafe with the Raven Cycle. So every time I'm there, I'm like, oh, I'll read some more of the Raven Cycle. So I might start this tomorrow, or I might just keep going with Hellbent. We'll see. I think I'll probably take it home with me anyway when I'm packing. But yeah, this is book number 4. I've read The Dream Thieves and I've read Blue Lily Lily Blue this year in 2024. So I would love to move on to The Raven King. So possibly, we'll see. But yeah, I finished work now, so now I really need to get packing. So new location. I'm back home with my family. As you saw, I did start The Raven King while I was in Galway. So I ended up having like a bit of time. I ended up having like my lunch and some coffee and starting this. I just was really in the mood for it. I also thought with Hellbent, because I got to part 2, I just thought it was a good place to maybe pause it for a minute and then maybe keep going with this and reading this for around the Christmas period. I know now I'm in the middle of 4 books, which is not ideal. I don't actually usually do that. Sometimes I have like 2 on the go, depending on my mood, but I don't really care. I was just totally in the mood to read this, so I did decide to pick it up. So this is the 4th book in the Raven Cycle. Really popular YA series that came out maybe 10 years ago-ish. I think it was 2013 roughly. It's set in this fictional town in Virginia, and you have this group of friends, all these boys that go to Aglenby Academy. I think the school mascot is a raven, so they're called the Raven Boys, and Gansey is kind of the main character, I out of them, and he's really obsessed with mythology and ley lines, and he believes that this Welsh king is sleeping on a ley line, and if you wake him up you get a wish. Gansey has his reasons to want to do that. Then you also have Blue, who's actually a daughter of a psychic, and she lives in this little commune of psychics, and she has this kind of omen over her that if she kisses her true love, he'll die. I love these books. They're really atmospheric and mystical. They're very character driven, and then I love Maggie Stiefvater's humour and her writing style. I think it's very sharp and witty. I don't think it would be everyone's cup of tea, but I love them. The other 3 books were all 5 stars for me, so can't wait to read this. As I said before, that cafe in Galway I associate with the Raven Cycle because I started reading the first book in there and a lot of the 3rd book, I think. So wanted to start the final one. I'm a little bit sad I don't have any more to read in this series. There is a spin-off. I probably will move on to that. And also Stiefvater has a few other books as well, so I'd love to get to them at some point. But yeah, I can already tell this book is immediately after the 3rd book, like no time has passed, and it's just kind of setting up the characters. So each chapter so far has just been what Gansey's been doing and what each character has been doing. And I'm on chapter 4 now, so I'm on page 35. These are quick fun reads. I think this will probably be the most emotional one, I would say. And obviously it's the climax of the story, it's the ending of the story, so I'm expecting to love this. So yeah, hopefully I'll read this over the next couple of days and then try to finish Hellbent then as well. I haven't been feeling like Christmassy yet, and I think I have been now that I'm home. We put up our little, I'm like looking at it now, my mum and my brother live in this little cottage and we don't really have space for our Christmas tree, so she puts up this little like white twig thing that we put our decorations on and we put the presents underneath. So I spent yesterday kind of decorating and wrapping presents, so I feel a little bit more Christmassy now. I also went around Donegal town as well, if anybody has been there. It's really Christmassy. There's a book kind of gift shop called The Four Masters, and I love that shop. It's beautiful. I've been buying my books in there since I was a child, and I actually picked up Binding 13, not for now. I actually want to get it for Christmas, so I said to Mum, she was like, what do you want? And I was like, I do want the Boys of Tommen. So I actually just have seen a few reviews of the Boys of Tommen, and the fact that it's set in Ireland and it's like a character based story, it's quite emotional but also about relationships and stuff like that, so I think I would really enjoy it. I love character driven stories. Every time I hear about them I think and I know I'm going to love them, so I'm excited for that. But I did also listen to a good bit of Violet Made of Thorns on my journey up here. I only have like 2 hours left of the book and I am really liking it. I don't know, is it quite my cup of tea in some ways? Like the romance is kicking off now, we're kind of getting answers, there's a bit of like obviously political tension and stuff like that, so I'm interested to see how it wraps up. However, I felt like the plotting and the world building was quite clunky in places, and I don't know, is it because I'm listening to it in audiobook, but I feel like I'm missing out on important parts. Sometimes when a piece of plot is revealed I'm kind of like, oh, I didn't even realize that was an issue. I don't think I've been like fully paying attention, but I am enjoying it. I think if you like Powerless you'd like this, but I am liking it, so I probably will listen to that while I go on walks while I'm up here and probably finish that off soon as well too. But I think for this evening I'm going to keep going with Raven Cycle. just thought I would wrap up this vlog here. Honestly, I think a lot of this is going to be b-roll. I didn't sit down in front of the camera that much, so it's just after Christmas now. I did get a good bit of The Raven King read. I am past the halfway point now. I'm on chapter 32, which is 230. I realised at the beginning of this vlog I was like, oh, I have to finish all these books, and I didn't actually finish anything, but I don't mind because I had really fun reading. I really liked getting up to part 2 in Hellbent and then starting this. I just had a fun time while I was doing this video. I'm loving this. Like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, it's really hard to put down, but I have to because it's Christmas and I have to spend time with family. Just everything is coming together so well. Stia Vatter is just such a good writer. It's just such a good character-based story. So if you like character-based stories and you like YA stories that have kind of eerie, nearly horror elements to them, it's not necessarily scary, but there is darker, scarier images in it sometimes. This is just really excellent. I love how the tempo is just getting very tense. All the threads of all the different characters and their plot lines are kind of coming together. I think the next 200 pages are going to be crazy, so I'm just excited to get back into it. I'm also equally sad that it'll be over, that the Raven Cycle will be over. There is the Dreamer trilogy, thank God. There is also the graphic novels that are coming out next year, so I'm so excited for that. So I'm not done with the Raven Cycle, but I'm having a great time reading this final one. It's equal parts like light-hearted and funny and dark, and I just think Stia Vatter is the best. She's so good at writing. Having a great time. I'll do a more full review in my next wrap up. Also, if you saw, I got a Kindle for Christmas. So this is the 6-inch. I obviously got it in the matcha green, and this is the version that came out this year. I think it's the 12th generation, I'm not quite sure. I just downloaded Binding 13 on it, so I can't wait to get to that too. I know that's a character-based driven story as well, so I think I will like that, but I definitely need to finish some of these books that I'm in the middle of first before I test this out. But I'll definitely do a like maybe Kindle review video at some point. But yeah, I love it. I love that it's like handbag size. Just really excited that I got this. I just love the idea that if I want a book I can just get it immediately rather than having to go to a shop or order it online, and it'll be great for travel too. So yeah, I'm very excited. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I'll leave all the books that I talked about in the description. I'll also link the Kindle that I got too. If you'd like to subscribe, I do anything book related on this channel, so reading vlogs like this one, reading wrap-ups, TBRs, all that stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.